and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. The headlines. President Bola Tinubu swears in 45 ministers 2 weeks after Senate screening and less than a week after the release of the portfolios. Two persons dead and 37 rescued from a collapsed building site in the Garki area of Abuja. Senate President Godswill Akpabio says the 10th National Assembly is determined to promote gender equity. Plus, Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin was presumed dead in plane crash. And we begin News Round with the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed ministers of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. The ministers took their oath of office in batches with a charge by President Tinubu for them to prioritize national interest over any personal or group pursuit. He also challenged the ministers not to fail Nigerians.
The conference hall of the presidential villa is filled to capacity. It's the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed ministers. They're here with members of their families, the governors, and officials of the different ministries. The program kicks off with the arrival of the president and the vice president. With them is the leadership of the National Assembly and the secretary to the government of the Federation. The first minister to have his citation read is the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Then, in batches of 5, the ministers take their oaths of office and have a handshake with the president. The process goes on without a hitch as each minister is recognized. Done with the swearing-in process, the president congratulates them and reminds them of how the experience and expertise they've garnered could help the country.
We have the opportunity to implement long overdue reform that will improve the operations of government, transform our nation's economy, and ensure peace, safety, and prosperity for our people.
The president told the ministers to serve with integrity and dignity.
I believe in you that the government can be a positive force for transformation and a vehicle for collective progress of this country. You are not a minister of a particular state, colony, region, or ethnic nationality. You are a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The president's speech signals the end of the ceremony. The ministers share their thoughts on the task ahead.
We should expect this ministry to focus on policies and regulations that is not only there to stifle or regulate, just to regulate, but policies and regulations that will open up opportunity for more technology entrepreneurs to actually build technology businesses.
We want to ensure and see the growth of our SMEs. The SME is the lifeblood of the economy. So we are hopeful that with the ideas, with the trust of this government, that will see that happen.
As the newly sworn-in ministers leave this hall, they say they are very clear that Nigerians expect a lot from them and that they will do everything within their power to deliver and ensure that Nigerians experience the benefits that Nigeria can't give. From the conference hall of the presidential villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
And almost immediately after the swearing-in ceremony, some of the newly sworn-in ministers reported for duty at their various offices. They promised to deliver on their mandates.
After taking their oaths of office, the newly sworn-in ministers proceed to the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to receive their certificates of appointment. As the ministers report for duties, they are received by officials of their various ministries. The first task for most of them is to speak on their mandate as members of the Federal Executive Council.
In the next few days, we are going to enroll our plans for you. You're going to have a Ministry of Information and National Orientation that is open, that is transparent, that is also accountable to Nigerians.
Our three ministries intertwined together. We are, as I said to my sister here, Siamese triplets. So whatever we do going forward in the administration, we will make sure we do it in unison and together. I must tell you, I do believe that at this point, Nigeria stands on the precipice of greatness. We have always been a great nation, but we are literally on the precipice of greatness.
We need everybody to serve our country. But most importantly, we need our Minister of Orientation, we need our Sister Arts and Culture, and we need the other ministries to collaborate with us, because without them, we cannot serve our country. We need their help.
For the Minister of Labour, the immediate task is to resolve all industrial issues.
On the relationship with organized labour, the government through the ministry shall work closely with the NLC, the TUC, and the affiliates towards not only ensuring that all pending industrial disputes are settled amicably, but also addressing with strong determination the new minimum wage and other palliatives arising from the removal of subsidies.
The Ministry of Agriculture has the food security component as part of its mandate, and the minister, who is accompanied to the reception by Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State, is promising to synergize with the Minister of State to deliver on priority areas in the ministry.
We are willing to commit 100% to the service of this nation. I think we'll have a big challenge, but it's not unsurmountable. Our target is not only to secure and feed the country, but also to export food, which will have that potential.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Tunji Ojo, who also assumed office, wants the heads of the paramilitary agencies to brace up for the task ahead. The two ministers under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources headed straight to work as they had a meeting with the heads of the agencies under the ministry. They have their work cut out for them.
We will work by providing intentional and timely interventions to strengthen the entire gas value chain, covering gas exploration, production, gas distribution, and gas consumption, as well as gas pricing.
I'm here with one agenda, and that agenda is increase production. Increase production on a sustainable basis. And as a creek boy, I'm here to provide the leadership so that we can go to the creeks and resolve all the problems that are bedeviling our oil production.
Clearly, the expectations of the citizens is to see how these men and women will administer policies and harmonize same for the growth of the different sectors and the nation.
Also, Mr. Nyesom Wike, who is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, has vowed to demolish illegally constructed houses in the nation's capital, Abuja, no matter whose property will be affected. Mr. Wike, who vowed to restore the original plan of the FCT, also warned that land allottees who have been given certificates of occupancy but failed to develop would lose their lands.
Minutes after the official swearing-in of members of the Federal Executive Council, former Governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, arrives at the headquarters of the Federal Capital Development Authority amidst a huge crowd. He will be assuming office as the 17th Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and he uses his maiden media conference to unveil how he plans to address the challenges of housing and open grazing.
All those people who are distorting the master plan of Abuja, too bad, too bad. If you know you are built where you're not supposed to build, it will go down. Be a minister of anywhere, be an ambassador. If you know you have developed where you're not supposed to develop, your house must go what? Down. Those who have taken over the green areas to build, sorry, our parks must come back. The green areas must come back. And all these people are doing land marketing. I will talk to the staff tomorrow. There are a lot of people are involved. And let me tell you, that period of land marketing is what? Over. And those that government are giving CFO lands, allocated land to them, they refuse to develop. And they are becoming land speculators. The land is gone. I'm going to revoke them. Because I don't understand how your government will give you land to develop, then you keep the land land that you may have paid for 200,000. You are not going to find who will buy it for 2 billion and 3 billion. Who does that? Those of you who also refuse to pay a grand rent. Non-payment of grand rent is a breach of covenant.
The other salient challenges of street lights, illegal structures, including markets, parks and bus stops, are also high on the minister's to-do list.
Abuja is going to be like a slum city. Sanitation is bad. So we cannot allow it. Everywhere is market. No, we cannot tolerate it. Yes, I know that things are difficult. But the mere fact that things are difficult does not also mean that you cause crisis for other people. I mean, I can't understand a city like this. Last night I was going right, everywhere dark. Then what makes it a city? Look at people stealing manholes and this and that. Who are responsible? Who are the security people? So the issue of security is germane.
As for those querying his appointment as a member of the opposition, he has a response.
They said they're going to sanction me that I took appointment. That's very close. The president wrote to every governor, 36 state governors, to bring names of people to appoint. Before this appointment came, I wrote to the National Party chairman. I wrote to the minority leaders of the House of Reps and Senate. I wrote to the zonal chairman of the party. I wrote to my state chairman. I wrote to my governor. All of them wrote me back. Accept it. I have it in evidence, documented. So thank you.
The FCT minister, who was vowed not to fail his principle, has extended the same to Abuja residents, promising to restore confidence in the FCT. From Abuja, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
And when News Round returns, Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin presumed dead in plane crash. Stay with us. Welcome back. 2 persons have died and 37 others rescued from the site of a collapsed building in Abuja. The building, which was used for commercial and residential purposes, caved in at about 11 o'clock on Thursday night following heavy winds and rainfall. The FCT minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, visited the site of the disaster, where he urged residents to cooperate with his administration to sanitize Abuja, especially with regards to development control.
Emergency agencies working at the site of this building that collapsed on Lagos Street in the Garki area of Abuja, looking on are neighbors and residents of the general area. Some of the residents in the area give an account of the incidents.
We were standing when the rain was about to fall. So about 7 minutes after 11, there was a wind blowing. So before we know, the NEPA took light. Before we know, after like 10 minutes, we saw people were shouting. Everywhere was dusty. This is my own compound, next to the compound where these things happened. We could not even see, so I have to rush my family out. Going back inside to off my gas, I met 2 people from underground. They were asking for help, where I rescued 3 girls and 1 died.
Yeah, 12. That was when the fire service arrived. Even the one that shocked me, the last girl that I personally rescued, I carried the girl, reaching the police van. The police said that they don't have fuel to take the girl to the hospital. Imagine the country we are in, as we find ourselves in. So had even the response, even those excavators came on time. Those people that passed, I don't think they will die.
It is believed that at least 3 people are still trapped in the rubble. The emergency agencies say they will leave no stone unturned in the rescue efforts.
At least not a very large, chunk of the people who were trapped in this building have been rescued by, all the agencies involved: civil defense, FEMA, fire service, road safety, and the rest and the police. So we all need to do is to just ensure that the rescue operation is still ongoing to ascertain if there are still other people trapped, in the remaining rubbles, and that is ongoing at the moment.
The FCT minister, who days ago threatened to clamp down on illegal and dangerous structures, is not happy.
We have told everybody who cares and who believes that the right thing must be done. Assuming we don't take decision on what is right, then you come back and say, look, we have lost more lives. So it's for everybody to support government. I know sometimes government decisions may not be too comfortable to be too palatable, but it's for the interest of everybody. And so I've told the permanent secretary, now we have to take action to see that that settlement is done and government take the whole area and plan it out. Because since years they planned the area, even the man who did, they don't have building permits. These are the kind of illegal structures we are talking about. That is the same thing we have said. You have complained severally that things are not working. And we have come and assured you that we are going to do this. You have not helped us to tell the public, look, now that the government said this is what they tell you, we're not supporter. Rather, hold on. Rather, what you are doing is to go on the negative side. The government wants to destroy 6,000 buildings. Government wants to do this, government wants to do that. We don't come to the positive side by telling the public the action government wants to take is the appropriate thing government should do.
Apart from the fact that residents of this area say that emergency first responders did not get here on time, making it difficult to evacuate more people who are trapped in this building. Residents of the area also say that most of the buildings in this area have the same defects. Hence, a repeat of such occurrence is just a matter of time. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
And staying with the FCT, the leadership of the National Assembly has made a commitment to ensuring gender equity legislation in Nigeria. President of the Senate and representative of the Speaker of the House of Representatives made this promise at the International Conference on Women in Governance in Abuja.
The conversation around women involvement in government has been ongoing for a while in different fora. However, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, has convened this international conference in Abuja to address the challenges which have caused the declining rate of women in government in Nigeria. To set the tone for the conference, the Director General, NILS, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, highlights the low number of women in governance. According to him, the percentage of women representation in governance has not exceeded 10%.
The declining trend has continued despite the provisions of the National Gender Policy that 30% of elective and appointed positions be reserved for women. Numerous other official documents and statements of government and political parties set normative and policy framework for achieving gender inclusivity and equality.
The Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, as well as the wife of the former governor of Ekiti State, Mrs. Bisi Fayemi, point out what they see as the challenges to women representation and appeal to the leadership of the National Assembly to revisit the gender bills that failed to pass in the 9th Assembly.
Agree that before first half of this present 10th Assembly, that will have legislation on how to increase the number of women in parliament and in governance.
In order to address the current predicament we are in, we need to be prepared to look at the root causes of where we are and not focus on the symptoms. Having 3.5% of women in the National Assembly is a symptom.
The issue of gender disparity in Nigeria has been a recurring topic. According to the Gender Development Index, Nigeria's gender statistics as of 2019 stood at 0.88%, indicating underrepresentation of women in Nigeria. The leadership of the National Assembly is not happy about this statistic and commits to promoting gender equity legislation in Nigeria.
Let me assure Nigerians and particularly women, that the 10th House of Representatives will do everything possible within the legislative powers of the House to ensure that women's proper representation are brought to light.
There is a need for us as a country that loves in women and wants them to grow, to first implement women-friendly policies by introducing quotas or targets to ensure a minimum level of women's representation in political institutions.
The clamor for more women in governance in Nigeria appears to have gone up a notch with this conference. Women advocates here are hopeful that solutions preferred will yield positive results of women inclusivity in governance in the country.
And finally on News Round, the Russian emergency services have announced that the bodies of all 10 people on the Embraer Legacy jet have now been recovered. According to the authorities, those on board include Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin and his second-in-command, Dmitry Utkin, the man who gave the mercenary group its name. The plane crashed near the village of Kuzhenkino and was on its way from Moscow to St. Petersburg.
The Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin's name was listed in the manifesto as being a passenger on the plane which crashed in the evening north of Moscow. No survivors were rescued from the scene of the crash. Russia's Emergency Situations Ministry said in a statement that the aircraft, which had been traveling from Moscow to St. Petersburg, had crashed near the village of Kuzhenkino in the Tver region. It said 10 people had been on board, including 3 crew members. One eyewitness from a village close to the site of the plane crash said they heard a bang before seeing the jet fall from the sky. By Thursday morning, several pieces of the aircraft were seen. At least 3 body bags were being stretchered away from one of the sites of the crash. A telegram channel linked to Wagner, Grey Zone, pronounced Prigozhin dead. It, however, hailed him as a hero and a patriot, who it said had died at the hands of unidentified people it called traitors to Russia.
70%! Шойгу!
The 62-year-old Yevgeny Prigozhin was one of the most visible faces of what Russia called a special military operation, having rescued thousands of prisoners to fight for Wagner and feuded openly with the Defense Ministry over military plans and ammunition supplies. For decades, he had been known as Putin's chef due to his company's Kremlin catering contracts. It is unclear how friendly he and the Russian President Vladimir Putin were, but they knew each other and both men were born and raised in St. Petersburg. After serving a long prison sentence in the 1980s, Prigozhin started selling hot dogs in his hometown. He soon began to build up a stake in a chain of supermarkets and eventually opened his own restaurant and catering company. Prigozhin admitted in September 2022 he founded the private military group in 2014, the year Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine. It was his first public confirmation of a link he had previously denied and sued journalists for reporting. The Wagner Group has fought in Libya, Syria, the Central African Republic and Mali, among other countries. In May 2023, the group seized the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut after some of the conflict's most brutal fighting. During the onslaught, he broke the taboos of Putin's tightly controlled political system with foul-mouthed insults of Moscow's top brass. Afterwards, he issued a video thanking the Kremlin, even as he launched into his favorite rant, the alleged treachery of Putin's top brass, in particular, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Defense General Valery Gerasimov. On May 5th, he showed a field of dead Wagner mercenaries he said had perished due to a lack of munitions caused by Shoigu and Gerasimov. In the last known video of the Russian mercenary chief posted on Telegram, Prigozhin is seen standing in a desert area in camouflage and carrying a rifle in his hands. In the distance are more armed men and a pickup truck. Offices around St. Petersburg had flowers and candles mourning the late leader. Close to the building housing Wagner forces in St. Petersburg, two masked men said they were members of the mercenary group. One said he was lost for words following news Prigozhin may have been killed in the plane crash. There have been mixed reactions in Moscow, however. One respondent said he thought it was a game and there could have been another plane. Another said it was a matter of honor to kill him off. Then another said he thought he was a hero. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a press conference Ukraine had nothing to do with the crash that killed Prigozhin.
Це точно. Я думаю, всі усвідомлюють, хто.
May the souls of the departed rest in peace. And with that, we end News Round at this hour. Thank you for watching. Join us again for updates at the next hour. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.